What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. I am the 2018 winner of Innovation by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and this is the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations, and you know I always like to have new friends on the conversation. And this gentleman I met back in November at the Men and Masculinity Summit in Toronto. He was quite engaged, especially with the guest speaker, Mr. Warren Farrell. And we've kept in contact since then. And I said, hey, it's about time for him to land on the Dr. Vibe Show, home of Epic Conversations, for a few moments. And we're very happy to have Mr. Nicky Billou on the Dr. Vibe Show. How you doing today, sir?
Blessed and highly favored, my man. I love that. I'm going to borrow that phrase. It's fantastic. It's an honor to be here on the show with you, sir.
Thank you so much. And well, a number of people want to borrow it. I only hear a few people using it after, but hey, if you want to use it, just don't wear it out. That's all I'm saying. Really good, really good. So we're going to find out a little bit about Nicky this evening. Also, we're going to have him share about his newest book, The Thought Leader's Journey, A Fable of Life. Just want to shout out to D. Scott Smith from up on the northwest part of the United States watching. And D. Scott, if you have any questions, please feel free to jump in whenever you have a moment. But we appreciate you being here, and we don't take it for granted. As always, when we have, in Oregon, that is correct. I wanted to make sure I was correct. Oregon. Just wanted to make sure.
Oregon, man.
And what we're going to do is, as always, with new friends on the Dr. Vibe Show, home of Epic Conversation, want to get a little background, find out their story. So before we get going with that, Nicky, can you share a little bit about where you grew up, life growing up, where you were born? Because you've shared some of this with me offline. I think our listeners and viewers would love to hear some of your story background.
Dr. Vibe, I am a Christian from the Middle East. I was born in Tehran, Iran. I'm an ethnic minority there, an Assyrian. And my family moved from Iran to Canada in 1982. In 1979, the Iranian Revolution happened. The Shah of Iran was ousted, and Iran was under the control of an Islamic government. It was the first theocratic government in Iran in centuries. Love my country, fabulous place to be, but things were getting tougher and tougher for us. When I was not quite 12 years old, someone threw a Molotov cocktail through our family's front window, and there was a note on it that said, "Die, Christian scum." And thankfully, the bomb didn't explode. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here speaking to you today. But it made me very grateful to my parents for bringing us out of what at the time was a volatile situation, although it's much better now. And minorities aren't under threat of death or anything in Iran, as they are in some other countries in the Middle East, especially those controlled by organizations like Al-Qaeda and ISIS. But Canada has been very good to us, and I feel blessed and highly favored by Lord Jesus for bringing us to this phenomenal country and having the opportunity to breathe free air. And I'll tell you, this phenomenal country has been incredibly good to us. I mean, people here get to rise on the merits of their efforts. Even a person from the Middle East who doesn't perhaps have the same background as folks born here has been able to come and make a life that they chose for themselves. And for that, every day, I thank God. God is good, my friend. God is good. So that's me. Came to Canada. I studied here. I studied business. Both my parents were in entrepreneurship and sales. And as a result, I wanted to be in entrepreneurship and sales. And I started my career in business in the corporate world. I worked for a high technology company, which will make some sense once I tell you a little bit about the book. And I was in the high tech world for nearly 10 years. And then in 2001, there was the dot-com bubble that burst. And I went from having this phenomenal job for a high-tech company to being unemployed. And it was like God gave me an opportunity to go start my own business, to have my own dream come true. And little by little, I started to figure out why I was here and what I was meant to do. And I was involved in a variety of different businesses. I had the good fortune of starting a business with two Canadian athletic heroes, Donovan Bailey and Mark McCoy, two Olympic gold medalists. I got into the fitness field. And for a while, it was fantastic, but it wasn't what I was meant to do. The message I was getting is that I needed to be doing something else. I need to be helping spread the gospel of freedom in a more powerful way, because I believe that entrepreneurs are society's greatest heroes. They're the ones who take all the risks, who have all innovation happen. It's because they have the courage to go after their dreams that our society gets to move forward. And so I wanted to be of service to entrepreneurs, and I started coaching entrepreneurs. I started a program for entrepreneurs. And now I have a program called eCircle Academy. We help small business owners who are experts, who make their living with the 6 inches between their ears. What we help them do is we help give these folks hope when they've lost hope. We help give these folks a system and a plan and a peer group to help get them off the plateau so they can live the life that they have always imagined, so they can make the difference they were born to make and make a boatload of money doing it. And that's who I am. That's what I'm all about. I'm also a father of two boys, both fabulous, 11 and 13, ex-husband to a fabulous ex-wife, and fiance to a fabulous wife-to-be.
Well, congratulations. There's a lot to unpack there, and I want to unpack some of it in the next few moments before we focus on the book. Growing up in Iran, why did your family choose Canada?
Well, Canada has a well-earned reputation for welcoming people and for giving them an opportunity to make their life what they want to make of it. Canada has a fantastic immigration system where they bring in people that want to be here and want to work. And that's what my family wanted. And they wanted a chance for us to grow up without, having bombs thrown through our living room windows. So those were some important things. That's why they chose Canada.
And do you remember, and what age were you when you came over to Canada? And do you remember your early experiences in Canada?
I was almost 15, so 14, a month away from being 15. I do remember some of our early experiences. On the plane ride on the way over, we actually got to meet a couple of Canadian Olympians. I met the great Tim Bethune, who was a 400-meter runner, and I met the great Milt Oddie. You may remember Milt Oddie. He was a hell of a high jumper for Canada back in the day. And they were on the same plane as we were, from Athens to Toronto. I came here initially not understanding the culture and very frightened, to be perfectly honest with you. But little by little, I got to know people. I got to know myself. I got to see what an amazing country this was. And Canada gave me an opportunity to find myself.
Nice. Okay. Looking over your career in the corporate world, what did you have any achievements that you were very proud of, and what were some positive moments you had during your corporate career?
Well, I worked my way up the corporate ladder. I was a director of sales at a high-tech startup in my last corporate job, and I started off from being, a business analyst when I started off my corporate career. I ran a team of a dozen people, and I helped land a pretty big partnership, pretty big relationship for our company. We did business with Verizon Telecom, with an IT security firm, and there was an opportunity for us to really blow up our business and grow it. Unfortunately, before we could really make that relationship ride, we lost our runway. And the company ran out of cash, so it went bankrupt. But I was very proud of being highly considered by the folks that I worked with, considered enough to want to promote me and to run a big team. Prior to that, I worked for an internet startup company, and I helped them get the biggest sale they'd ever gotten, which was $500,000 at that point in time. So those are some of the highlights of my corporate life. But I'll tell you, I never felt like I fit in. I always felt like a fish out of water there. And it was God's way of telling me, hey, it's time for you to spread your wings and fly.
Excellent. Now, I just want to, before we go any further, I just want to welcome people to the room. Stephen, Brad also, and we already said hello to D. Scott. And also on YouTube, we have Serena Willows. Thank you, Serena Wills, for watching on the YouTube end. And again, if anyone on the Get Vocal platform, if you want to jump in, ask any questions or make any comments, please feel free. And Serena, I know you're watching. Actually, time for you to say, you know what, I'm not coming back into the corporate world. I'm going to go full head.
No.
No,
I wanted to get another job, man. I mean, I love my 6-figure paycheck. But God had other ideas. In fact, I got a short-term job for about 6 months, but that didn't last either, you know. God dragged me into this kicking and screaming. It took me a good year plus after that ended for me to say, hey, it was time for me to get out of trying to look for work and to embrace entrepreneurship fully.
Was there a moment where you said, okay, it's time? Because it sounds like you wanted to go back. Well, was there a moment that you finally sort of hit you on the head and said, you know what, it's time to do the entrepreneur thing?
Yep. That was in, I'd met a lady, and we'd gotten married within 5.5 months of meeting, which was kind of crazy. But shortly after that, one of our friends who I was with said, hey, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. I think I should start a business, get into fitness. She says, well, you know, you should go for it. I said, yeah. And I didn't sound too enthusiastic. She went out and got me my first fitness coaching client. It was incredible. And I'm like, what? Someone called me the next day and said, hey, I hear you're a fitness trainer. I need a fitness coach. What do you charge? It was like that. That's how it happened. And I'm like, $35 a session, which to me at the time sounded like a lot of money, right? And that's how I became an entrepreneur. I didn't even get my own first client. Someone else did it for me.
What? And it sounds that you had no inkling about getting into the world of fitness.
Well, I kind of sort of was thinking that might be the direction I should go in, but
right
until, you know, this rock bumped me on the head, as you put it, it wasn't 100% clear. But the message came and I took it.
And you mentioned a few moments ago that you got into a venture with Mark McCoy and Donovan Bailey, two former Canadian Olympians. How did that happen?
Well, I had a friend who knew Mark. And when I told him what I was up to, he said, let me introduce you to Mark. He introduced me to Mark. Mark and I hit it off. Mark introduced me to Donovan. I'd met another guy who was interested in getting into business. The four of us met. And we said, hey, let's start this venture. So we started the venture, and that's how it all got going. It was like the right place, right time with the right people. And for a while, it was fabulous. You know, we created a program. We got some sales. But unfortunately, you know, after a period of time, it was clear the fourth partner, he wasn't giving it his full effort. So we asked him to leave. And Donovan, God bless him, great guy. You know, he had his own ideas. I had my own idea. Mark and I had our own ideas. So after trying to make it work for about 1.5 years, we all decided that we're gonna end it.
Okay.
But it was an honor to work with him. I learned a lot. You know, I got to hang out and be mentored by two of Canada's most decorated Olympic champions of all time in track and field. And I got to tell you, Dr. Vibe, that was a huge, huge blessing for me. I learned a lot about health and fitness. I learned a lot about mindset. It set me up for a lot of the other things I ended up doing later. My book, Finish Line Thinking, which was my previous book, was written in large part based on the principles that I learned working with Mark and Donovan. As a result of working with these folks, I got a lot of credibility and was able to get very successful people in the health in the world of business want me to be their health and fitness coach. So I coached a lot of billionaires, a lot of CEOs, like that, and it was all because of my partnership and relationship with Mark and Donovan.
Nice.
And to this day, Mark and I are great friends. You know, we hang out. I still work out with him once in a while.
Nice. Good. With after that venture, what did you get into next? Did you start your own thing on your own after that?
Well, after that venture ended, I started to do my own health and fitness training, and my business grew. And I was married at the time, and my wife was a coach. So we teamed up together to coach high-level business people. So she was coaching him on the business end of things, and I was coaching him on the fitness end of things. And we actually grew that business quite successfully. And then I was involved in a network marketing firm for a period of time as well. I wasn't as successful at that as that, but I did recruit a couple people who became very successful at it. So I did decently with that, but most of my focus was on health and fitness. And together with my ex, we built a business that grossed well over 200,000, close to $250,000 a year. But then, unfortunately, this is another conversation maybe for another time, but my marriage fell apart. So the business fell apart. And I still did health and fitness for about a year and a half, 2 years. But then it was starting to become clear to me that I needed to do something else. This wasn't the direction I should be going in for the rest of my life. And my business had tanked, with my wife and I splitting up. We went from doing close to $250,000 to me doing like $5K a year. And then I was at an event, saw this man deliver a talk. His name was Bill, and it just resonated. It was like he was speaking to me. And I went up to him and I said, I think I need to hire you, Bill. And he said, okay. So I charge $5,000 for 5 hours of my time. I get paid in advance. I'm like, I don't have that kind of money right now. He said, I know you don't. But he said, I'm going to do you a favor, kid. I'm going to give you some free coaching. I said, all right. What's the free coaching? He said, doesn't matter how much money you have. Matters how resourceful you are. And he said, Tony Robbins taught him this. Doesn't matter what level of resources you have. It matters how resourceful you are. Your problem right now is your business isn't working. The solution is you hire me and I help you fix it. I cost money. You need to come up with the money. I said, okay, give me a couple days. So I went and I went to some prospective clients in health and fitness. I made them the proverbial offer you can't refuse, and came up with a couple grand. I called him and I said, hey, Bill, here's a couple grand. He said, no, I need to get paid in advance in full. I said, then Bill, listen, how many people have you given this speech to that you just gave me? He says, oh, quite a few. I said, besides me, who else actually came back with any money? He said, oh, you're the first. I said, take the $2,000. I'll come up with the rest. I'll put it in writing. And so anyways, he took the $2,000, and within 30 days, I paid him the rest of the money. And within 6 months, I made $100,000. And that changed my life. And I wrote the book, Finish Line Thinking. I used that to get a lot of clients. I became known as a top mindset coach, top mindset expert. I got to meet the great Mark Von Muser, who at the time worked for Anthony Robbins. He started to mentor me and coach me. I became partners with a man. We started eCircle together. eCircle is a company that I currently own, which helps small business entrepreneurs who have an expertise use that expertise to get paid. So we specifically created eCircle Academy within eCircle, and we started to really go after a certain type of clientele, and we grew the company, but then he and I had some disagreements. He wanted to go off on his own, so I bought him out. And as I bought him out, we started to bring in more clients, and I had the concept of writing the book. And I thought I'd make the book semi-fictitious, but I'd put elements in the book that, resonate with every man, but were based a little bit on my own life. So the hero of the book's a guy named Paulo Nestor. And Paulo is a high-tech sales executive. I was a high-tech sales executive, right? He's dissatisfied with what he's doing. I was dissatisfied with what he's doing, but he was afraid to take the leap forward and follow his dreams. Well, I was afraid to take the leap forward and follow my dreams. But this book is the story of how he meets a guide, and that guide would be me in this case, and how this guide shows him how to have faith, have hope, have belief in himself, and shows him the strategies that he needs to undertake in order to go out there and establish himself as a thought leader, as an expert. And that's how the book came about.
Excellent. Just before we go any further, I also want to, I don't know if I mentioned before, but welcome Bobby to the Get Vocal Room, and also on the YouTube channel. Divine Right, Serena Wills is saying, hi, Nicky, your background is fascinating. I'm thankful for God's protection over you and your family. Your story is inspiring. Being a wealth and wellness coach starting out, this chat really gave me hope that my practice will take off. So she is absolutely enjoying what you have to share. Now, let me ask you a little bit about the book. How long did it take you to write it?
Honestly, it didn't take me very long to write it, but it took me a long time to rewrite it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I actually wrote the book in under 2 months, but rewrites and edits, man, that part consumed another 6 to 8 months. You know, the initial storytelling piece was simple to do. I just, I got on a regime where I wrote every day, you know, and I wrote somewhere between 2 and 10 pages a day.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
You know, some days it was just 2 pages, you know. A lot of it.
What was a difference in the process, if any, from writing this book compared to the first book?
Well, this book was longer and it took longer, right? This book's about 114, 15 pages long. My first book was initially a 30-page book, and then I expanded it to a 40-page book. So I actually wrote my first book in a day and a half because I planned all the concepts and I just wrote them all out and I got it done. Again, it took me a month to do all the edits and rewrites and whatnot, and that was a much shorter book, right? So this one was a story. That one is a pure how-to book, right? So in this one, I had to think about the story I wanted to tell, how I wanted to introduce this fellow to the reader, and the reader needs to be able to identify with this fellow, right? You know, so he's a young man, he's married, right? His wife is successful, and she's a mother. So he feels like he's not measuring up in many ways, right? Because she's more successful than he is in her job. She's doing what she loves, what she was put on this earth to do. He still isn't doing it at the time. But she loves him, you know, he loves her. And it's a part of what drives him to be a better man. I touch on that rather than overtly talk about it in the book, but it definitely helps drive this fellow in moving forward. And for me, those were some important and powerful themes that I wanted to explore in the writing of the book, as well as the theme of, you know, the hero's journey, right? It's the thought leader's journey, but it's the hero's journey. If you're familiar with Joseph Campbell and his famous book, there's always a hero, and the hero goes out there and is faced with an existential problem. And his problem is, what's he going to do the rest of his life? Is he going to live afraid of his own shadow? Or is he going to go out there and pursue his dreams? He should go out there and pursue his dreams. So he meets a guide. And the guide in this case is me in the story, right? And the guide is the one who shows him the way. The guide knows the way. Like every story worth its salt in history is written in a similar fashion. I mean, if you look at the original Star Wars, there's Luke Skywalker who works on his uncle's farm and he's frustrated with that life. He wants to be a Jedi. He meets Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan shows him how to be a Jedi. And he goes and he becomes a Jedi and he destroys the Death Star. He saves the rebellion, you know, saves the galaxy. So That is a similar storyline to the storyline in my book.
How did you come up with the title?
So, The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell really was a big inspiration for it. And the thought leader end of it, I mean, I'm in the business of thought leadership, of helping people take their expertise and take that expertise, make it a clear message for a specific audience, and monetize it. That's the business I'm in. And so I wanted to combine the hero's journey with thought leadership, and hence the thought leader's journey.
Okay. With this book, what? There we go. Excellent. It can be bought on Amazon, correct?
100%.
All right. With this book, was it challenging at any point in time for you to write this book, because you got into a discipline of writing a minimum 2 pages a day? Were there any times where it was a little bit challenging to complete the book?
Honestly, completing the book wasn't a problem. What's been challenging has been all the edits and the rewrites and catching all the typos. You know, we're ready to print 1,000 copies now, right? And I still found a couple typos. I mean, just God bless it. You know, that is a bigger challenge for me than the writing of it. I'm a reader, Dr. Vibe. This year so far, I've read 50 books since January, right? These are like not audiobooks. I'm talking about hard copy, physical books. And that doesn't count the 5 times I've reread my own book, right? So for me, reading and writing are natural. Not a problem.
Where did you get those gifts from? Because most people are not readers. So where did you get that gift from? Was that something from you being very young, or is that something you've acquired as you developed your talent?
I was a kid. I was into reading, you know. I mean, in the school I was in, there was no devices back then, so reading was the thing. And I was into reading. I loved it. I got into it. I've been reading since I was 7, 8 years old. I've never stopped.
Nice.
Really.
What was the feeling like when you had that? Well, it's not totally finished yet, but that book, that finished piece in your hands. How did that feel?
It feels awesome. You know,
I hope so.
Awesome to have a book in my hands. It feels awesome. It's like a baby, you know, and I'm sending it out in the world to grow up and see what it's going to do. It's powerful. It's important. And for me, I want to change the world with this book, Dr. Vibe. Like, I want people right now who are struggling, but who have an entrepreneurial dream, to pick up a copy of this book. I want them to read it. I want them to be inspired by it. I want this to give them the hope, the faith, the belief that it's possible for them. That's why I wrote it. If I can help a million people read this book and be inspired by it, I'll be a very happy man. If out of those million people, just 10,000 people take some serious action to change their lives, man, that's a hell of a legacy. True.
And Serena Wills is saying, yes, editing process is a beast.
It is a beast. It is. Look, the book's still ready. You can buy it. There'll be a couple typos in it, but the main story will be there. We'll get those typos ironed out. It's a phenomenal book. People should grab a copy of this. And honestly, man, if they've got friends in their life or family members who are facing a similar thing, they should pick up a couple copies and hand them out as gifts.
So let me ask you, there are hundreds, there are thousands of books out there about entrepreneurship.
There are.
What sets this one apart from all those others, in your opinion?
It was written with love, my friend. It was written with love. It was written from the heart. It was written from a deep desire to serve my fellow man and woman. That's what makes this book stand out. And it's well written. I'm a great writer, you know. I read somewhere between 80 and 120 books a year, and I've been doing this for a lot of years. You know, I can string a sentence together. I can put a paragraph together. I can make a story sing. So that's what's going to make this book worthwhile to anybody who would like to be inspired and would love a good story.
Is this book not just for entrepreneurs, but is it also just a good general read for people who want to move forward in their life, in your opinion?
100%. Anybody who wants to be inspired, who wants a dose of hope and belief, would benefit from reading this book.
Nice. Let me chat with you a little bit about your eCircle, and you've been running that service for a while. What are some of the major or the common challenges that clients have that come to you that you're able to help them move forward and overcome?
That's a fantastic question, and let me take it from some of the chapters in the book, because I address this in the book in a big way. So, number one is, a lot of people have lost faith and belief in themselves. You know, they're good at what they do, but they just haven't been able to make a go of it in a big and serious way, and they're stuck on a plateau. And some of them have lost faith to the point that they're even considering giving up on their dream, you know? And for me, that is the number one thing that I want to help them deal with, is to take that lack of belief, take that lack of faith, and destroy it, you know, because anybody, any human being is a favorite child of God. And God put you here on this earth for a purpose, a mighty purpose. And it's important for you to be reminded of that. So one of the reasons people don't succeed, Dr. Vibe, is they try to do things on their own. Most entrepreneurs don't go and get the help that they need. They're not part of a good peer group. The great Charlie Tremendous Jones, one of the greatest motivational speakers of all time, said that you're going to be the same person you are today 5 years from now, except for two things. One is the books you read and the people you hang around. So one of the reasons I wrote this book, help address that on my end. I also, at my events, give away tons of books, probably between 8 and a dozen, all written by great masters. And these books are all about helping people move forward, you know, put positivity into their minds. And the second thing is, I put together and curate a room full of incredible people with big hearts, and people who want to make a difference, and many people who are already making a difference, the kind of difference they were born to make. That's the number one thing that eCircle does for people.
Interesting. D. Scott Smith says, quote, imposter syndrome, unquote, is common. This limits our ability to use our gifts and talents.
He's 100% correct. Everybody has some level of imposter syndrome, you know? Listen, there's folks who call me the Napoleon Hill of the modern age, right? I love it and I recoil from it. I'm like, I'm not Napoleon Hill. What the hell is he talking about? But the reason he said it is because on my podcast, I get to interview a lot of cool guys. Last week, I had Dr. John Maxwell on. You know, I've had Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank. I'm going to have the great Dr. Vibe on. I've had Dr. Warren Farrell on, who, you know, we both got to spend some time with back in November 2018. So that's why these people said you get to speak with all those really smart people. That's like Napoleon Hill back in the day. He spoke with all the richest people in America, all the smartest businessmen. I'm like, well, I guess, yeah, maybe from that point of view, you're right. That makes sense. But in my head, it's like, no, I'm not really Napoleon Hill. I can't say that. I shouldn't say that. If people even really knew who I was, they'd never say that. Do you know what I mean? And dude, I'm a successful guy, and I still have those thoughts that go through my head. So everybody has imposter syndrome at some level. So it's important to kill those doubts. Then it's important to position yourself right too. Far too many people come into our communities and they go, hey, I'm a coach. Man, that's about the worst thing you can call yourself as a coach, because people put you in a box. That means in their mind, you do one-on-one work that's, you know, per hour. That's a horrible way to make money. You're a thought leader. You're a thought leader who happens to do coaching, speaking, et cetera, et cetera. And if you position yourself as a thought leader, as the go-to expert in your space, then you're not going to be thought of as someone who, you know, does only one-on-one work and gets paid only by the hour. That allows you to leverage yourself. So someone who's a life coach maybe can make only 60, 70K a year. But if they're a thought leader who happens to do some coaching and some other things, which we'll show them how to do, they can take that 60, 70K a year that they make and turn it into 300K a year, 500K a year. And Dr. Vibe, that's a lot more exciting.
Excellent. I have some good news for you in regards to something that I just saw on the YouTube platform. Divine Right has said, I found the book and added it to my Amazon shopping cart. I cannot wait to read it. I can't wait to read it.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for doing that. And listen, feel free to reach out to me. It'd be an honor to speak to you and be of service to you, Devon.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. I love when I can help people move forward. And in this case, Nicky's moved forward because he has one more sale, and Serena Divine Wright is going to move forward after reading that book. These days, entrepreneurship is a hot thing. And is that a good thing right now, that it's the hot thing right now?
Listen, it's a good thing if heart calls on you to do. You shouldn't do it just because it's a hot thing. You shouldn't do it because everybody else is doing it. You should do it because it's what your heart and soul tell you want to do. Period. Full stop. End of discussion. Not everybody should be an entrepreneur. Not everybody's cut out for it, right? There are people who are built to be employees. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's what your heart and soul tell you is the right path for you. So I believe entrepreneurship is great. It makes sense for a lot of people. Probably makes sense for a lot of people watching and listening to your show, but it doesn't make sense for everybody.
Interesting enough, a good number of people that watch my epic conversations are entrepreneurs. So it's a good thing to know and have their expertise and their thoughts sharing with us. I love. When did you realize? I want to go back a little bit in regards to your whole thought process about being a thought leader. When did that mindset come to you from just saying, okay, I'm not a coach, I'm a thought leader? How did that get into your mindset and into your core?
Well, I'll tell you, I learned, I had a partner at the time, and this partner introduced me to the work of Matt Church from Australia. Matt Church created Thought Leaders Business School and Thought Leaders Global. And he is the one who popularized some of these concepts for me. And when I was introduced to them, they just made a lot of sense to me. I said, you know what? Being a coach is not where it's at. Being a thought leader is where it's at. And the more I started to position myself that way, the better my business did. And the more I started to teach these concepts to people, because we've done some work and licensed some material from Matt. The more it worked for the people that I taught these concepts to. And when they started positioning themselves as thought leaders, their businesses exploded. We took some folks that were making less than $50K a year and brought them to several $100,000. We took folks that were doing $100,000 a year and brought them to $1 million. You know, that's what was possible. Dr. Vibe, you've gone silent on me, brother.
All right. No, got it here. Just okay, here we go. I just forgot to put the fader up. I just wanted to shout out Candy Sakai, who is tuning in on Periscope in Japan, who's just shared this conversation out with all her followers on Periscope.
Awesome.
So this is wonderful. And again, to Bobby, Stephen, D. Scott, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them on the chat on the side, or you can actually just come on into the room if you have any questions that you'd like to ask Nicky. Nicky, let me ask too, your clientele, is there some common demographics, or is it from all over the spectrum?
Honestly, it's a little bit all over the spectrum, but I'll tell you what they all have in common. They've had a little bit of life experience. Very few of them are under the age of 35, right? And usually in order to have some expertise, you need to have had a little bit of life experience, right? So we've had some people under 35, but not many, right? And most of our clients are married or have been married. You know what I mean? And the kind of average person is somewhere between 45 and 55. And they make a living through their expertise. So they might be a business coach, they might be a consultant of some kind, they might be a fitness trainer, a relationship coach. They might be like a real estate agent who's positioned themselves as the go-to real estate agent for, lawyers, stuff like that. The bottom line is they help people, they're advocates, they're service-based, And they're really, really excited about using their expertise and sharing it with the world. And they want to do more of that. Most of them don't have a big business background, which is why after a certain period of time, their businesses tend to plateau and get stuck, right? So these are not folks, with a Wharton MBA for the most part, but they're sincere, good, kind people. You know what I'm saying, Dr. Bob? They want to make a difference. That's super, super important for us. In fact, if we see that someone has commission breath and they're just in it for the money, we don't allow them into our community, because we've built a very sacred space, if you will. And we want to make sure that the people that are part of this space add to it and make everybody better, and aren't there just to take, So that's been super, super important for us. The other thing that all of them have in common, Dr. Vibe, is they're committed. They want to change their business. They're not a dabbler. They're not an indecisive person. They're not just interested. They're not kicking tires. They want to make a difference. They want their business to grow. They want to make a bigger impact in the world. And those people are the ones we tend to attract. And they're coachable, man. They take the coaching. They do what they've been taught. So that's important. That's powerful.
Just want to welcome Mr. Wonderful into the Get Vocal room. Thanks so much for stopping by, and thanks for taking time out of your positive, productive schedule to jump in. I want to get back to the thought leadership thing, and it is part of your book. Is it easier, in your opinion, to become a thought leader now compared to when you started your entrepreneurial journey full time?
Yes, 100%. The reason is because there is a path, there is a way to do it. So if you decided today, like Dr. Vod, you yourself, I'd argue, are a thought leader. But if you decided to say, okay, I want to monetize my thought leadership, I want to be able to help a lot of people, and I also want to make $500,000, $1 million a year, for whatever your reasons are for doing that, right? For someone like yourself, it's way simpler. Because all you need to do is you need to learn the aspects of how to take that expertise of yours, turn it into intellectual property, and then turn it into a message for a specific target market. Position yourself in, use that big heart that you have, because I think the biggest competitive advantage any of us has is how much we care about people. And we can show you how to do that. There's methodologies out there that exist. I mean, listen, right now, Tony Robbins just teamed up with Russell Brunson and Dean Grazioso to talk about that. And they're selling this online course for that. So it's a hot topic. There's a lot of different ways to skin this cat. My challenge with a lot of folks doing it in North America, most of the folks teaching people how to establish themselves and position themselves in North America don't know what they're doing, and they don't really care about how successful their clients are. So in North America, most programs that are out there, they're lucky if 5% of the people that do the program actually get results. One of the reasons I teamed up with Matt Church out of Australia is that 78% of the people that have done Matt's programs have added anywhere from $250,000 to a couple million a year to their business. Here in Toronto, almost 60% of the folks that have done our programs have had anywhere from 120,000 to a couple million a year to their business. Those numbers speak to me. Those are powerful. Those are important. I'm very proud of those numbers. And I'm not very excited about all these folks that have been out there, and they are really good marketers, but they sell their programs. They make a lot of money, but the people that buy the programs, most of them don't make a lot of money. And that's been one of my pet peeves. It's one of the reasons I do what I do.
So would you say, when it comes to this, for lack of a better term, industry, is there a lot of noise out there?
Yeah, a lot of noise. A lot of what I call charlatan marketers.
Okay. All right. Are you surprised that you don't have more people under 35 asking you about what services you offer?
No, not really. Actually, it makes perfect sense to me that the folks who get this have been beaten up by life a little bit.
Okay. Good
They
to know.
haven't. They still have this thought of, okay, I can make this happen. I'm going to be a gazillionaire in 6 weeks. And, until they've been disabused of that notion, it's hard for them to understand the need to do things differently.
Okay. I want to get back to the book. How has writing this book changed you?
Fabulous question. So number
Once
one,
in a while, I come up with a good question or two.
So how it's changed me is it's taken the intellectual property that I developed and made it far better, because writing the book forced me to think through my concepts and make sure that they were on point and made a difference. So it actually made me a better and smarter thought leader. It also changed me because I accomplished something that, very few people get to accomplish, which is to write a coherent, comprehensive book. And that feeling of satisfaction and fulfillment has changed me as well. There's nothing like being out there, Dr. Vibe, and doing something that the doing of it makes you better, makes you stronger, makes you faster. It's a little bit like a workout for the mind.
Right. Okay. When you finished this book, who was the first person you showed it to after you saw it?
My honey, Teresa.
And what did she have to say?
She liked it. She loved it, actually.
I hope so.
She read it. She was one of my proofreaders and editors, and she said, "Man, this is a fantastic book, honey. You did great." And she said, "This book needs to be out there in a bigger and better way." And I wholeheartedly agree.
So what's the game plan on getting it out in a bigger and better way?
Honestly, Dr. Vibe, I need to be on lots of platforms like this one. The more, the better. When people start to read my book and understand it, then I think I'll be successful. And I'm also going to do a book launch. So we've ordered 1,000 copies of the book to be printed. As soon as those copies are ready, I'm going to rent a hotel room and make an event happen. You're invited, of course, and we're going to do a book launch. And I'm going to sign some books, do a little speech, have a little mix and mingle opportunity for people. It's going to be great.
Excellent. Serena, your book buyer, has a question. She's asking, do you have people in this program from North America?
Yes, I do. In fact, all of our people are from North America, mostly from Ontario, a few from Quebec, some from Arizona, and some from New York State, and a couple from Florida.
Nice. So, okay, so outside of prompts, how are people hearing about the service you offer? Because you have people in the U.S. in different states. So how are they hearing about it?
Well, I get on shows like this. I do a lot of social media type stuff. And I also have a podcast, the Thought Leader Revolution is the name of that podcast. And so that helps, right?
Very good. Very good. We're going to be starting winding down in a few moments, folks. So if anyone else has any questions, comments, make sure you get them in now, because once we let Nicky go, he's always on the go, and he's getting jacked up for tomorrow night's Raptors 76ers game. Who knows? He may be at that one, because I have a feeling he may find a way to find him and his sons at that game also. So we won't take up too much of your.
We're gonna have to skip it, because tomorrow on Tuesday nights, my boy plays soccer, and he's got to practice, and I'm not gonna let him miss that just to go watch a game as much as I'd like to. But I might go myself. I might ask my lady if she wants to go. If not, we'll just watch the game at home. But if we get a game on a Saturday night here in the city,
there.
We're going.
You're there, absolutely.
Monday night. Monday nights, one of the few nights where one or the other of my boys isn't in sports. That's why I was able to make it work. But Tuesday night, Thursday night, Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, one or the other of my sons is in sports.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, sounds like we should make a reality show to your family this at this time, man.
Telling you what,
That
man.
that that may sell also.
There you
Okay,
go.
let's start winding it down here. Some final thoughts, I guess, on entrepreneurship and also thought leader. Actually, let me know. Let me. I thought about something I want to ask. What, in your opinion, is the state of thought leadership at this time?
This is the best time in history to be able to share your thoughts with as many people as possible. And there are so many wonderful thought leaders out there that are sharing their expertise. So if there's an area that speaks to you, that you want to know more about, there's so many fabulous experts. And I highly recommend, if you're watching the show, check out my podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. You can go through the catalog of episodes. We've had all kinds of people on that show, anywhere from high-level athletes to, CEOs of billion-dollar companies to multi-million selling authors like John Maxwell. It's a fantastic show to help you understand the state of thought leadership. I also think if you're interested in becoming a thought leader and being known for your expertise and monetizing it, this is the best time in history to do that. And I highly encourage and recommend that you definitely look into that. You can reach out to me through the podcast or find me on LinkedIn or social media. Go to our website, eCircleacademy.com, and check us out. If you want to jump on a call with us, there's a button to jump on a call with us where we can explore this concept with you. It's called a success call. And there's a free download we have there on how to take your thought leadership and make it be successful. In my opinion, it's a phenomenal time for all of that. As an entrepreneur, if that's where your heart and soul is telling you need to be, then have faith. Pluck up your courage. Get out there. Make it happen. Make it real for yourself, because you can do it. And this is the greatest time in history to be an entrepreneur. Dr. Vibe, people don't know this, right? But in North America right now, we are approaching a time when there are going to be 10 million millionaires. 10 million millionaires. That's insane. And here's the craziest part about it. With the way the North American economy is growing, I mean, I don't know if you saw the most recent numbers that were just released a few days ago, but the U.S. economy is growing at 3.6%. In Canada, we send 80% of our exports to the States, so that's really good news for us, right? Unemployment is the lowest it's been since 1969. That's 50 years. For minorities like myself, yourself, in the U.S., the unemployment is the lowest since it's been recorded, which is phenomenal, right? Basically, it's a 3.4% unemployment rate. That means if someone really wants a job, they can get a job today. You know what I mean? Maybe the first job ain't the most perfect job, but it's a job. You can get work. And that means that's good news for you as an entrepreneur, because that means that there's people with money in their genes that if you can solve a specific problem for them. And to me, that's a big part of thought leadership. Thought leadership is about solving the specific problem that a group of people have. If you can do that, and this problem is important enough for people, they have money in their genes to be able to pay you to solve that problem for them. So I say, go for it. I say, make your dream come true. I say, give your heart and soul over to God and to the people you're put here on this earth to serve. Because in addition to being a thought leader, you're also a heart leader. You lead from the heart, and we're all about that, and you're all about it. If you're listening to Dr. Vibe is all heart. Dr. Vibe is all love. Dr. Vibe is all about making a difference. He does this because he cares. He gives a good gosh darn, right? And you're on the show because you're attracted to that energy, which means you are that person. You care. You want to make a difference. And get that problem that you're moved to solve. Have that be front and center in front of you and your vision. And go out there and let people know that you're here to help them, you're here to serve them, you're here to solve that problem. And go get paid. Go make that boatload of money like you deserve. And if you're too scared to do it, borrow some courage from Dr. Vibe. Feel free to connect with me. Go to my website, jump on that success call, and be on these shows every week with the legendary Dr. Vibe, man. Feel this man's love and let it uplift you. Don't do this alone. That is the worst thing you can do, is to try to do this alone. Do it with help. Do it part of this community. Do it with our community, but don't do it alone. And that way, your soul will soar, and you will live the life that in your wildest dreams you have imagined. And you'll tell your loved ones to pinch you because you feel like you're dreaming with your eyes wide open.
That is good stuff. And thank you for the kind words. Appreciate it. Not taken for granted. Bobby is saying amen, amen, Nick, saying this room is lit. And he's saying, wow, very powerful. Very powerful, Nick. Well said, brother. So absolutely fantastic. And you covered, I was going to ask, what's the number one quality a thought leader should have? And you mentioned it, wanting to solve problems. So yes, you covered that too. Just mention again, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
So number one, they can go to LinkedIn or Facebook, Nicky Billou, NickYBillou, also Twitter, same name. They can go to my website. They can send me an email, nicky@ecircle.ca, ECIRCLE.ca, NICKY. And they can jump on the website and go click on that Book Your Success Call Now button that's in the top right-hand corner. Those are some great ways to get in touch with me. And listen to the podcast as well, because you'll get a dose of power from thought leadership. So those are some good ways.
Much appreciated. Before we sign off here, I want to say thanks to, it seems that everyone's enjoying this conversation. There's a book. If you want to get it, Serena Wills has got, you can get one too. Want to thank D. Scott Smith, who was on from the beginning, also joining in the conversation. Stephen, Bobby, Brad, also on YouTube, Serena Wills, Divine Right. And from Japan via Periscope, we had Candy. We also had U Foresight joining in from the US. So thank you so much for making another epic conversation. Much appreciated, not taking granted. Hey, Shannon, how we doing? I am Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of epic conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations. To find out more about all the different platforms you can hear or watch my epic conversations, just go to my website, thedrvibeshow.com. And we have more conversations coming up on Wednesday night. Shannon has just jumped in. We're going to be doing part 2 of domestic violence and human trafficking, which will have one of the ladies that is on here, Shannon, who has expertise in dealing with these subjects, and also Leah Miller, U.S. diplomat, and Dr. Tachi, who has her PhD in communications from Howard University. It was an epic conversation last Wednesday, went for 2 hours, and there was still more that had to be chatted, shared about. So we're doing part 2 on Wednesday night. And then on Thursday night, I have Michael Taylor talking about a new book he's written about manhood. And Michael and I Michael's been on this platform for a number of years. He's just written another book, and he is also an entrepreneur and a thought leader. And we're going to have a nice epic conversation about that. So as I always like to say, I end off with these things. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Excuse me. And also sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. One other thing, too, if you have any conversation topics that you'd like me to host, you can email me at dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com, which is THEDRVIBESHOW.com. Thank you so much, everybody. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. And if you have any questions for Nicky, reach out. Be well.
Thank you and God bless. It was an honor to be on the show, my friend.
Right back at you.